Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Wells Revival on this Wednesday, it's 9th of November 2022. And this is actually going to be a brief one because of personal situations. I haven't been able to put the show together, so I'm actually going to do the full show tomorrow. But please don't go away because we've still got something special. Even though I'm not here, wonderful storyteller Tony Cuckson has got a lovely well story to share with you. So that's going to be our episode today. And the Healing Wells is what's going to be on tomorrow at this time, 7 o'clock. So 2 this week. So thank you for joining me. As I say, it is our time for exploring the holy wells and sacred pools and blessed waters. And you're going to have a bit of a story on that, a bit of water mystery as well, and a little bit of water tradition with it. And so hail, hail, whole, hail, holly, holy, good health to you all, translation. So as I say, tomorrow we'll be healing at wells and a bit of mystery from Tony Cuckson a little bit later. I can't really tell you what the personal things are at the moment, but I'm going to skip a lot of the stuff I would normally say. Do we have any early birds? No, it's a bit early yet. I see there's some of you there. Nobody's commenting yet, so we'll see how the comments go. As I say, healing at wells. I'll give you a bit of an introduction today, and this is what I'll be covering tomorrow because I'll have the photos ready. I haven't got any photos ready for you. Yeah, and I wouldn't like to do this without the photos. But the healing at wells, it seems to be an obvious subject to cover when we're talking to wells, doesn't it? And maybe thought, well, why even bother covering healing? Because holy wells are simultaneously thought of as healing wells by most people. But as you know, a couple of Wednesdays ago, I talked about the cursing wells. So it gave you a little bit of a different insight there. So a well might not necessarily be a healing well. They usually start off as one, though. But the water of most holy wells, and even those that eventually became the cursing wells, were believed to be a flow of water that are healing for something. So why else would people visit holy wells for healing? If you think about it, even as recent as 70 years ago, access to public health care was very rare. And so the local well, it was regarded as the central site of healing, also as the local pharmacy in a way. And there'd often be the local healer who would be present at the well, or at least living nearby, and would make arrangements to be there, and wouldn't provide services, wouldn't usually demand too much exchange. So I think we can too easily underestimate the healing power of water. And I'm going to be talking more about this tomorrow, the actual science of it. I know that's very bland, but it's amazing what's been verified by science with some of the mysteries of the holy wells. But I'm not going to be sticking with that as well. We're going to go into the folklore and talking of the She, various other entities, their presence. And as I say, there's a third, if you've been watching the promotion for today, which is now going to be for tomorrow, I was talking about a third thing that happens to the holy wells, but I'm going to leave that as a secret until tomorrow. So yeah, the well is great, the water's great with its cleaning abilities, its healing abilities. Just water alone, it's amazing how good water is very good for hygiene. That's maybe underestimated, even when we don't have access to soap. So but of course, these days we can be concerned because the water, especially in wells, can be choked off from runoffs from the fields, etc., etc. So they get choked off with the presence of chemicals which challenge them. So the water's ions are kind of messed up, and they're not the healing that's available because the wrong things are clinging to it. Anyway, I'll leave talking about the rest of this until tomorrow. As you know, on Wednesdays, it is a short show. It's nothing like what I used to do on the Nature Folklore. And who we got? We got the Essence of Mulranny Studios, who's on board here. Fantastic that you are here. And we got one love heart that's come up from someone. So, without further ado, I'll get my headphones on because Tony, at a moment's notice, he rushed for his the computer and came on the air, and he's ready to go. So I'm very grateful. And anybody who's been on Nature Folklore is quite familiar with the presence of Tony Cuckson. And he's going to be talking about a story. And it's not too far from where he and B, his wife, lives. And we got Shem done. Hello, if you caught that, Shem. This is not going to be the full show that it's advertised. It's going to be back on at 7 o'clock tomorrow. But we have this lovely guest who stepped in with a lovely story, and it's Tony Cuckson. Hi there, Tony. Let's see if we got you.
Hi, John.
Absolutely fantastic. No, I think I'll go to. There we go. We can get a bit more, even though we got a bit more blank.
Right.
How are you doing there? Because not only have me had some situations, but you have had to.
I'm
out for the winter.
I'm
are you all sorted now? Are you a bit more protected for the winter?
You know, I've been doing what's called dry walling over the last week.
Oh, very good.
And it's very dusty. So yeah, but it's going all right, and it makes a difference. It makes the house or the living room feel warmer. Although I'm here in the bedroom because it's warmer still in here. So
great.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that comes together pretty quick. So thank you very much for stepping in on this emergency, because boom, 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 I've had sort of things happening, but I thought, no, I'm not going to let down the broadcast. Let's still do it.
Right.
And say I'll have the repeat tomorrow with what I was going to do today. So a little insight of what you're going to share with us.
Right. Good evening, everyone who is there. I can't actually see who's there, but
so well, we got Jane Gilbert just come on board.
Yeah,
I'll just put her up. There you go. There she says, "Hello, John."
Oh, hello, Jane. How are you? Jane and I know.
There you go. There's a start.
There you go. This will be for Jane. So yeah, so I'm going to give you the invitation, the central invitation will be shared with you tomorrow night by John, as he said. So I'm going to give you some reflections that are a story and also a poem. So I'm going to read you a poem that I love. It's about water. It's about water, and it's just the most gorgeous poems. And my wife and I, Barbara, a couple of years ago, we discovered this thing called what was it called? Poetry. I can't remember what the second name. Yeah, guerrilla poets. That's what it was called. Guerrilla poetry. And the invitation was that you would become a guerrilla poet in the sense that you would go around beautiful places, right? And you would put up beautiful poetry so that people who came to these beautiful places could read the beautiful poetry. And there's a place close to me called Glen. It's the most beautiful place. It's close to a cave, Marble Arch Caves, and it's absolutely a short but gorgeous walk. But one of the key things about that is there's a waterfall there, and it's the most gorgeous waterfall. And I just love going there and just sometimes standing by it and sometimes sitting by it and just listening to it. And that was a place where I put this poem as part of my endeavor to become a guerrilla poet. So it's by an extraordinary poetess called Denise Levitov, and it's called The Fountain. So it's really about water and the way in which water heals. So she uses the metaphor of water as a way of experiencing a deep sense of healing. So I'll read that poem first, and then I'll go to the story that I've written around another another place where there's a holy well and what's called a sweat house. So let me begin by sharing with you this poem called "The Fountain" by Denise Leviton. Don't say, don't say there is no water to solace the dryness of our hearts. I have seen the fountains springing out of the rock wall and you drinking there. And I too, before your eyes, found footfalls and climbed to drink the cool water. The woman of that place, shading her eyes, frowned as she watched, but not because she grudged the water, only because she was waiting to see we drank our fill and were refreshed. Don't say, don't say there is no water. The fountain is there, among its scalloped green and grey stones. It is still there. It is always there, with its quiet song and strange power. The spring in us, up and out through the rock. It is still there and always there. So that is The Fountain by Denise Levitoff, and it's there to remind you that the fountain of well-being is always there within you, ready to spring up out of the rock. So that's that beautiful poem by Denise Levitoff. So I'm going to read you this story that I wrote. Usually I don't read my stories. Usually I have them memorized, but this is part of a series of stories that I'm looking at writing, and including reflections on. And it's part of probably a six series stories. Sorry, it's one of six stories, and the book title is provisionally Beyond the Place of Stones. And the Place of Stones relates to a place called the Cavan Burren, which many people, I think, listening to John's podcast here, might be aware of. So this is a story about a place that I love. I mean, I'm lucky to live in such a lovely place, and I go and I spend time at these extraordinary places of presence. And one such place is, I'm almost certain it's dedicated to, I think it's St. John, but I may be wrong there. Anyway, you go there, and this place is set above a lake, or what's called a loch, and it's called Loch Owen, and it's just off the main road. And if you go up the hill, you'll come to the holy well. And one of the characteristics of this holy well is that the water is the color of iron, because it comes from the Iron Mountain. And then not far from there's what's called a sweat house. A sweat house. It's it's part of the of buildings, ancient buildings that are part of the locality, and people used to go into them to heal. So I'm going to read you this story, and it's called The Healing House. So if you find me looking to the left or the right, I'm reading notes, which is not usual for me, but I'm going to, on this occasion, do that. So settle down and just be quiet a little while and invite the intention that this story invites you to explore a sense of healing presence within yourself, and that you, like the character in this story, are going to find something that they have forgotten. So, like all good stories, once upon a time, a long time ago, in the time of forgetting, there lived a beautiful child who had fallen. And she had fallen out of the circle of love, deep, deep into the circle of time. And she came into this circle of time, trailing clouds of glory. And all around the little cottage where she lived, with her widowed father and brothers, she would sing. She would sing her favorite heart songs. She would sing in the day, and sometimes when clouds of grey filled the day, she would sing in the dead of the night. Her mother had given her the name Good Hope. And inside this child of glory, there lived a golden singing bird that flew as it would through the open window of the child's gracious heart. And she trusted that the golden bird would return as and when it needed to return, just so long as she would keep the window open. For when you keep the window open, the singing bird will come. But then one day it happened, as it always happens one day within the circle of time. This is the day that begins the sleep of forgetting. And slowly, slowly, the window of the child's heart began to close, and the singing bird came no more. And without her golden singing bird, good hope walks the circle of time. She's feeling lost. As she grows, she feels that something is missing, but she's not sure what that is. And in the circle of time, she walks the hollow lands and hilly lands, standing on those pavements grey. There are no longer any clouds of glory bathed in celestial light, but only the constant feeling of living under a cloud. Yet she is one who never forgets. She never forgets what she once knew. A voice inside her sings a mantra of remembrance with the lines from a song that she remembers. That there's none can sing so sweet, my singing bird, as you. No, there's no one can sing so sweet, my singing bird, as you. And so she continues to wander the roads of the circle of time, searching. She takes the long road through the mountains of the morning. She descends through the valley of the dark night. And then one day, in that placeless place where the magicians and the dreamers roam, she lands on that other shore. It is a shore beyond the time of your life. And on the beach alone, she sits underneath the stars, where there is a certain kind of darkness. And there is no longer any pretending, but she feels lost. And this is when the mending begins. And in the light of the full moon, she walks the brown path rising upward as it passes close to the well of iron, where she follows the stream that takes her to meet with the sisters of light. There they are. They are waiting without waiting by the house of healing. They wait without waiting for the ones spellbound under the trance of the circle of time. And from out of the circle of the sisters of light steps the mother. She reaches out and takes the hand of the one who is forgotten, but one who longs to remember and return to the knowing of who she once was. The mother leads the once golden child to the doorway of the house of healing. Now, to enter the doorway requires that good hope kneels. It requires that she get to her knees. She is now entering a place of reverence. She is entering the house of healing as a guest where she will meet with the love that would burn up everything inside her. She enters the darkness inside the house of healing with the sisters of light. They are followed by the mother. The mother closes the door of the house of healing and she says, "Let the healing begin." And in the stillness of the dark, the silence began to come of its own. It descended without effort. All the voices in the head of good hope started to disappear. In the deepening silence, the remembering came again. She becomes for one moment, once again, one of the beautiful people. And for one instant, she falls out of the circle of time and once again finds herself in the eternal circle of love. And once again, the singing bird comes. She leaves the place of the healing house with a lighter heart. She is healthy. She is free. She takes the longer brown path that leads back to the lake. She no longer asks for good fortune, but now with a song in her heart, she knows that she herself is good fortune. She has become the embodiment of her name. She is good hope, free to go her own way. She returns from the circle of love to the circle of time, knowing that the time of forgetting is over. And like all good stories, she finds that she can live happily ever after. So that's the story of the healing house, about a place above Loch Allen. But of course, this place is always about an inner state of awareness within yourself that you can journey to and experience. And I hope that you do, so that you can know what it means to live that kind of life where you experience the happily ever after. So thank you for listening.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you very much, Tony, for that. And this is where Tony was talking about. There you go. That was the sweat house there. And that there is kind of someone that's by it. And if I can just see if I can get that one up, but I think I need to take that. That's the pathway up to it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you talked about the well with the iron from it. There we go. There's the iron well there. And I think I got a few more. I didn't have time to kind of size them up, so you just have to bear with me on
lovely.
this.
Yeah.
There we go. There we got that one. Some more shots of it there. And there's loads of very vintage holly trees around this, which is quite unique. And no, I think that's all I managed to put up. So there we go. That's a bit of an insight into that. And that was gorgeous. Thanks for stepping in with that, Tony. That was absolutely delightful. And I think most of you out there, this will be instantly archived. And I think that's a story you want to kind of go through a few times and see how to add to the feelings and add to the connection of it. That was really something because it brings you deep into the well, which is fabulous. And there's Leslie Harvey that's watching. Thought that was lovely. It was, that was incredible. It saved my bacon, and it also provided us with an extra treat. Yeah, because that was beautifully done, Tony. I mean, that was actually better than what I think I would have put on. But I hope everybody comes back tomorrow at 7:00, where it will be the healing at Wells. But what an introduction. What a lead in for that. So I thank you so much for that. Absolutely.
Always a pleasure, John. And thank you for the offer.
Yeah, thank you. So Tony Cuckson, as I say, this broadcast is shorter than the Sundays I was doing. And what a treat. Thank you so much. And have a safe winter, and we'll get you back as soon as possible.
Well,
thank you very much. Tony Cuckson there. Thank you. Wonderful. So I think what I'll do, I hope you'll all come back tomorrow. As I say, there was personal situation that stopped me from doing the proper show today. But I will be all ready tomorrow. And there's Jane, who absolutely loved it. I know Jane's a big fan of Tony anyway, so I'm glad she came on board for Tony, because I'm sure Jane wasn't expecting to get Tony, so that was a nice treat for herself. So fantastic. So I'll tell you what's coming up. As I say, I've got the Healing at Holy Wells tomorrow, the Thursday, 7 o'clock Irish time, then back to the Wednesdays. And unfortunately, there's a Catherine McGlynn who I've been dying to get onto the show. Her and her husband have done amazing work finding holy wells in Donegal, and the adventures are very entertaining. But unfortunately, like a lot of people these days, they're going down with a COVID, so it's finding a time when she's recovered from the COVID, which we hope will be next week. If not, we'll have her in due course. But anyway, on the 23rd of November, the Wednesday after that, I'm going to be talking about guardians at the wells, and maybe we'll have someone who talk a little bit about the wells of Mayo as well. 30th of November, this is probably one of the stiffest ones. Going to be talking about the saints and their shrines at wells, and their positioning there. There might be a little bit of controversy on that one, and I might talk about one or two of the wells that I visited nearby in County Longford. So any questions you got? I hope you'll be back next week. Thank you again, Tony. Thank you. I thoroughly enjoyed being with you this evening, because I could actually sit in the back and be part of the audience and listen to Tony. What a treat that was. And if you're watching and saying, this will instantly be archived on the YouTube and the Facebook, hopefully Facebook, because they've been a bit temperamental lately. Anyway, and I'll return to answer your questions when I can. If you're on YouTube, there is a subscription there for the Holy Wells Revival channel. And hopefully you'll be back tomorrow. Before I go, anything anybody else would like to say before I depart and say the farewells? And because that's been great. That's been wonderful. I don't see anything coming up. I see you're still here, which is lovely. Thanks very much. So enjoy a safe time, whether I'll see you tomorrow or, as I say, Sunday is on hold because I'm writing the nature folklore books now. That'll come out next year. So if I don't, not with you tomorrow, so hopefully next Wednesday. So enjoy the days full of wonder. I hope they're full of wonder and inspirations and wonderful enchantments with you that comes from the presence of water, whether it's the holy wells or whether you're just sticking your feet into some Epsom salts. So until tomorrow, next Wednesday, play well, everybody, and thank you very much. Bye-bye, and we'll catch up soon. Bye.